Hello and welcome to a new episode of BeamNG.drive. In this episode, we're doing something a bit different. This is going to be a few episodes. So, we have two modern vehicles. We have two mid vehicles, about 2000 or so, about there. And then, we have the old boys. And, well, we're going to be doing multiple tests on every vehicle here. And the way that I will be doing these tests is simple. So how it's going to be set up is I'll record all my findings and how everything works. So for example, this episode is about safety. What vehicles are safer? Doing small overlap collisions, which are much harder to do. At the end, we'll just be seeing what does the best. And if you just want to skip the results, skip to this point in the video. So if you are someone that stayed, let's first of all go on to here, and we're taking out the Burnside. No, we're taking out this first. The Burnside Special. We're going to be looking at two things for this episode. We're going to be looking at how much G-force is created in the collision, and how survivable does it just look. So what we're going to be doing here is moving the vehicle over to here, and we want the vehicle to go about 40 miles an hour. So we'll get this thing up to that, and then we're going to be doing a test kind of like this. So here is this. Visually, it had some cabin intrusion, definitely. And this is pretty much totaled. Well, the engine isn't completely messed up, but a lot of the frame and it's bent and that type of stuff. Right here, this is a Bruckle, whatever, I forget. And over there is the vehicle that is currently still on fire. So let's get up to 40 miles an hour here. Good collision. And let's move this out of the way. Now what I am hoping to see with all of these old vehicles is that they tend to have a lower survivability rate, because they're made out of stronger material. But this does make sense, because if they have stronger material, then it will not do so well in such a collision, because there's tons more force that's going into you. Now, I might think that this type of vehicle should do the worst, because it was designed at kind of a point where the IHS would do medium overlap, which would be about 45% of the front of the vehicle, hitting a thing that is kind of like hitting someone in the back of a bumper. So I am thinking, this is realistic, that this one should do the worst. And indeed it did. It did crush pretty much, and you look up at the roof here. The roof is very much messed up. There wasn't too much cabin intrusion, but because this is an older model vehicle, well, you see the doors coming off, which when this happens, that can increase occupant ejection happening. But overall, I am satisfied with how this vehicle did do. Alright, here we have a Pesma, which began production in 1996 and ended in 2000. It didn't go for too long. But now, we're going to see if there was a reason about safety, maybe, that it quit so early. Ah, right here is what I'm talking about. See, so it crumpled a lot in the front, but it also transferred to the roof a lot. So this vehicle would not do well whatsoever in a crash, no. And now we will test out this vehicle. This vehicle this and the other one should theoretically do the best. So I'm just going to put it in the manual mode so it's a bit easier to get in to about 40. And right there. Okay, so this is what you want to see in a crash. There is a lot of crumple in the front, so a lot of force is absorbed, and there's only a bit of damage to the roof. If there was a little bit less, that would be good, but this vehicle still did a very much better than all the other ones. This thing is so advanced that it actually has, as soon as you hit something, it stops. It locks up the brakes so that you cannot move after you hit something. But it only does that for a very short amount of time when the crash is occurring, so that there's not as much of you flying around. So here we are at about 40. And right here is definitely the best. See, the flashers came on, and you see up there, impact detected, stopping car. If you look here, more of this is fine than the other one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to break all the hinges off. And then, so now we can just look at the physical frame damage. And right here we have this. You can see this was all pushed in to about over here as the vehicle hit up onto it. And you can see there is almost none, maybe a very slight angle in the footwell. The roof is completely fine, except for the glass being a bit bent. It is completely fine. And okay, right here we have the Burnside, not Burnside. Right here we have this one, and you see this one really got damaged up here especially, but you could see that the frame just got bent really. Right here is one of the mid cars, and you can see it's kind of the worst, sort of. So it really kind of just smashed it up here. Now this vehicle does have a bigger engine, so I would assume that it did kind of stop a bit of what happened there. Right here we have the other old one. The other old one did pretty much just like that. Right here we have one of the new ones, and you can see this one has the most crumple. That is good. That means that this absorbed a lot of the impact, and pretty much the only thing that happened was like right here, it got a little bit smooshed. And right here's the last one. This really tells the story. This one transferred so much, even though it got smashed in the front, all that energy was still shot up to the roof. Right here we can see that the ETK K-Series has the lowest G-force that has occurred, which means it is the most survivable. Visually, it is also visually the most survivable, and because it has the lowest G-force that was occurred, 4.41 Gs, it is the best at survivability. The Sunburst comes in second at 6.72 Gs, which is quite a bit more than the ETK, but it is still somewhat survivable. Visually, the Sunburst still does come in second. And for G-forces, the Burnside comes in third with 7.07 Gs, but visually it comes in fifth because in the crash it did crumple a bit more than you would want. So the survivability still depends on everything, but you would be more likely to not survive in this type of collision with this vehicle. Once again, going a bit higher up in the G's from the last one, the Gravel Grand Marshal got 7.54 Gs, which means that you are still going to be less likely to survive in this type of vehicle if you hit something. Visually, it was one of the best performing ones because the front completely crumpled, but it stopped right as soon as it went to the cabin. For visuals, it's 3 out of all of them. Okay, I'm just going to skip to the chase. The Bruckle did 5.06 Gs, did visually the same, 5th place. And the Pessima, here's where it gets interesting, even though it's a mid-model car, about the early 2000s, well, during 1996 to 2000, it didn't last for very long, probably because it was not safe at all. The vehicle crumpled extreme amounts, the front and the roof, because you want more of it to crumble. That is why the Grand Marshal got a higher score, because it crumpled all the way of the front part, but then didn't crumple much at the top. But this crumpled a lot at the top, not as much in the front part. The crumple zone is not very good. So, hopefully you like this episode, and goodbye.
I'm going to rape you!